Hello, my name is Olivia and welcome to my very first YouTube video. If you are someone who is interested in all things health and wellness, but in particular healing from COVID, then please consider liking and subscribing to this channel because I'm going to be posting about this here from now on going forward. So to begin, if you clicked on this video, it is because you either are suffering from or interested in the topic of Parosmia, I don't know how to pronounce it. And I'm gonna divide this video up into two parts. The first part being a quick overview of what Parosmia is, and then the second part will be my story, as well as some tips and tricks that have helped me just cope and deal with this life-changing condition. If you are someone that suffers from parosmia or you know someone firsthand, you will know that this is no small symptom. It is completely life-altering and it sucks, just to be blunt. Please excuse me, I have a cold today. Of course, I chose to film a video while having a cold, but yeah, it's terrible. So to begin with, just jumping right in off the top of my head, what is parosmia, Olivia, you ask? Parosmia is an alteration or distortion of your sense of smell as well as taste. So your smell is really directly connected to what you taste. So if you just plug your nose and bite into a food item like a banana or what have you, you will notice that you either taste nothing at all or something very subtle. So when your sense of smell is impacted, that also changes your sense of taste. So there are really three conditions that I know off the top of my head that impact your sense of smell. The first one being anosmia, and that's the one that's most commonly associated with COVID. And anosmia is a complete loss of your sense of smell as well as taste. And for a lot of people, this is the first red flag that they might have COVID. And then the second one is, forgive me, I'm gonna mispronounce this, phantosmia. It's a phantom smell. So it's when you're smelling a nasty smell like cigarettes or smoke when there is nothing really present to smell or taste at all. And then the third, which is the one I struggle with and many other people, and that is parosmia. And that is you are tasting the wrong thing and smelling the wrong thing. And when I say wrong, I'm not just talking about, oh, this recipe is missing an ingredient and tastes off, or I don't really like the taste of this sauce versus that sauce. When I say off, I am meaning disgusting, garbage, trash. If you look up parosmia and watch any news video or personal story about it, people will use words like garbage, trash, sewage, fecal matter. And I think to someone on the outside, this might sound dramatic, very theatrical, like, okay. But it's frankly, it's not. And although these words might not be precise, what we're trying to get across, I feel, is just the absolute disgustingness and how disturbed we are by what we are sensing with our sense of smell. So that is my overview of it. And I will say that if you are someone who is struggling with this, I feel for you. I know how life-changing this disorder can be. It is completely life-changing, and coping with it on a day-to-day basis, if you are someone who's doing that, you're a strong person. And I do hold out hope that as this symptom becomes more, I don't want to say the word popular, because that sounds like this is a good thing. As it becomes more common, I hope that the medical community will pay more attention to this and study it, because right now it just seems to be kind of brushed under the rug. And I don't want to go too much off into a tangent here, but yeah. So jumping into the second part, my story and my personal experience with COVID, I am still a baby, I guess, compared to other people who have had this for a year or more. I'm at the 6-month mark. I got COVID in January, and unlike many people that suffer from COVID and develop this symptom, there's usually a period where things go back to normal before things hit the fan. For me, I lost my sense of taste and smell, and then right when it turned back on is when I started to notice the parosmia distortion. But at first, I thought that was just a sign that my sense of smell and taste was coming back online. So I remember waking up one morning and going for eggs and toast and coffee, and the coffee tasted kind of chemically, like a chemical stew. The eggs tasted like skunk taint. Toast didn't taste good at all. And I was a little grossed out, but I was also optimistic, like, okay, this is a sign that I am going to get my sense of taste back and smell. And excuse me, a week goes by, and again, the chemical smell was still there, and I started noticing it in more and more places unrelated to food. My shampoo and soaps were starting to develop this monolithic chemical smell, and I basically started to smell this nasty chemical thing everywhere. Like, there was no escape. And that's when I started to think, maybe this isn't normal, something must be wrong. And so I Googled my symptoms, and that's when the word parosmia came up. And I, like many people who have this, I felt a sense of fear and just anxiety rush over me when I started to see all of the news articles and videos where people are just talking about not being able to eat anything at all. Everything tastes terrible. And at the time, this was in January, February, I would have said that my symptoms were more of the moderate to mild, because the chemical smell and taste, though it was ever present and everywhere, it was subtle. And I could tolerate a lot of foods like banana, pineapple, a lot of the fruits that I like to eat in the morning didn't have it at the forefront. It did get in the way, but it was nasty, but tolerable. And then as time went on, things got worse and worse. I had a period in March where I thought I was getting certain foods back, but then I started to notice that every time I got sick in a different way. So right now I have a cold, and my parosmia is 10 times worse. It's way more extreme, and it's also different. So at first I described it as chemically. Now it kind of tastes and smells like sewage everywhere. And I mean everywhere. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell, and I'm sure I'll elaborate on that more down the road. But basically, it's been a roller coaster. It changes every day, every week. It's different. I could maybe bite into a piece of toast one day and it'll taste tolerable, and then the next day that same brand of bread will taste nasty. So it really is a mental game, and here's where I'm gonna jump into some tips that I'll estimate that I have about 5 tips off the top of my head to hopefully help you cope. And the first one is to confide in loved ones, friends, family, your social network. I don't know where I would be today without my boyfriend, as well as a few of my closest friends who I have told about this problem. I prefer to not eat alone, and the other day I was really struggling, and one of my friends called me, and it was just really nice to have a conversation going that I could tune into while tuning out the fact that I was eating this burger that tasted really just rotten and sewagey. And I cannot emphasize enough, lean on those you love, express to them how you're feeling. Even if it's on a daily basis that you feel you need to vent to someone, take that time, because you are going through something completely unprecedented, and you need that time to lean on those that you love. My second tip would be to find something meaningful outside of food to focus on. This could be a new hobby or area of interest that you develop, like let's say you pick up knitting or pick up working out, jogging. You want to develop yourself in a certain way, be it through writing or painting. Find something to get passionate and excited about on a regular basis. Because if you are anything like me, I dream about food. I am always thinking about food. I am one of those people that goes to bed at night and I just think, I cannot wait for breakfast tomorrow. And unfortunately, due to this condition, breakfast is not really something that I look forward to at all, really. It's something that I get through and that I do to survive, but it's no longer this point in my day that I look forward to. So that is my tip number 2. And my tip number 3 would be kind of bouncing off of that. I would find some way to take your suffering and manifest it into creativity. So this could be doing what I'm doing right now, which is just vlogging and talking out my experience. I will say that this is really cathartic for me to discuss. But it could also be journaling privately or writing a song about it. I don't know, writing an article to publish online to just raise awareness. However you see, whatever your talent is, I would find a way to just take what you're going through and turn it into something beautiful. There is a quote by Nietzsche that kind of ties into these tips, and that is, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." And I believe that full-heartedly, that if you have a purpose that you are striving towards, then that will make all the suffering that you're going through worth it in the end. And yeah, so I hope that bit of wisdom helps you. And going into my 4th tip, these are coming off the top of my head right now, so I hope I can make it to 5. My 4th tip would be to, kind of bouncing off the last one, document your symptoms. So right here, I have a journal that, frankly, I've been on and off with, but I'm starting to get better with. So I would keep a journal about your symptoms and maybe some of the cures that you are testing out. So I know that there's a lot of information out there right now regarding cures for parosmia that can be a hit or a miss. And whether you're doing smell training or there's alpha-lipoic acid and other supplements that people are testing out, I would keep a journal to document your experience with these so-called cures, and also take notes on research. I have yet to really dive into the parosmia research that is out there, but I plan to. But use your journal to just keep track of everything. And then tip number 5 is talk to a medical professional and seek medical assistance and advice. So I just made an appointment with my doctor this month to really dive into this problem. I know from research that a lot of people have had negative experiences, unfortunately, with the medical community, with doctors kind of overlooking this symptom, dismissing it as something that isn't a big deal compared to the other long haul COVID symptoms that are out there. But do not, if you have to find a new doctor, put yourself first, and find someone who will go into the research with you. I am still in this process and will have an update for you later on as my life continues forward, but you're going to want that because I actually self-experimented with alpha lipoic acid, and that caused me to develop, I believe, acid reflux, which makes sense because it's an acid. When I stopped taking it, my acid reflux went away. I don't know if it was directly connected, but I am going to be speaking to a doctor about this, especially if I want to jump back in with the supplement and try it again. So yeah, I would definitely seek medical help because, you know, at the end of the day, we're all human, and there are people out there that have dedicated their lives to researching these kinds of topics. So that's my advice so far for today, and I do plan to delve more into all of this later. Yeah, if you are someone who suffers from this, I know I've already said this, but I am sorry. This is really life-changing. If you are someone who does not know what it's like to have parosmia and maybe you're unsure of how to process this, I would ask you to just think about your day and the little moments that you look forward to. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of those moments are connected to your sense of smell or taste in some way. So let's say you look forward to the typical things like waking up to the fresh smell of coffee and buttery eggs, or you're looking forward to a friend's birthday that's coming up, your family is meeting for dinner to, you know, eat a recipe, you're meeting a friend for lunch at a cafe. All of these things will change. I've even had to deal with it during my workouts where I'm someone that loves to work out, but, you know, unfortunately, when I'm sweating, that sewagey, chemically smell gets in, I smell like that to myself, and that can be very nauseating. I still, to this day, cannot walk into certain cafes, like a Starbucks. For whatever reason, Starbucks smells god-awful to me. If I go in, I will get a headache and I will feel super nauseous. I have only gone into a Starbucks once since developing this problem. And I really don't like to sit in most cafes or public restaurants anymore because the smell is so god-awful. I've even noticed it when I'm walking my dog in the middle of the woods. Flowers and trees will smell like sewage, and so that could be very disturbing, and this changes the way that people interface with the world, completely alters it. So this could lead to anxiety and depression, and again, if you have this, I am here with you. I am so sorry, and please leave a comment below if you are suffering from parosmia and tell me your story. I would love to hear from the wider community. Until then, I hope you guys have a happy Friday. Yeah, bye.